All right, guys, the Iceman here, donning the We Own the Parade World Championship, World Series Championship t-shirt of the Boston Red Sox from the World Series 2013. But this video is going to be about, I watched the Can-Am Connections hour plus video this morning that they aired last night. That is Andre Corbeil and Big Ray. An excellent video. They talked about their five favorite faces of all time, their five favorite heels of all time. They also talked about the spoilers involved in TNA and what it's done to TNA. I really do believe that the spoilers do affect the ratings for TNA because people will read the spoilers and they won't bother to watch the show. But they talked about various things, and one of the things Andre was talking about in his top heels, where I was totally shocked because it's someone I had forgotten. But anyway, at his number two spot, I believe it was Abdul the Butcher. No, I take that back. That was number three. Number two was Ric Flair, and number one was Gorgeous George. Now, Gorgeous George goes way back. I mean, Gorgeous George was around, I think, before I was even born. And I knew a little bit about him. My parents used to talk about him, but when they were talking about their, top five heels, he didn't even dawn on me because it was so far way back. And I thought that was a great, great input by Andre Corbeil to implement Gorgeous George into the mix. We're talking about like the 40s, I think, and 50s, possibly. But anyway, yeah, Gorgeous George was his number one heel pick ahead of Ric Flair. Now, on the other side of the coin, Big Ray, this could have been his number one and number two pick could have been swapped either way. His number two pick for the biggest face of all time was Bruno Sammartino. Again, Bruno was in the 70s, big, big champion for the old WWF and Vince McMahon Sr. Um, yeah, he was something that if he was in his prime at this day and age, I'm sort of wondering, you know, what kind of reaction he would have gotten from the fans. But again, he picked him as number two, and number one he picked of all time was Hulk Hogan. You really can't argue with that too much. Like I said, you could have swapped either one of them. And yeah, Hulk Hogan was really the biggest thing since Bruno. Bob Backlund was in between them. Bob Backlund was very, very popular with the younger generation, the kids and all. But once McMahon, Vincent Kennedy McMahon took over from his dad, things changed from there. So with that being said, I was thinking about my top five wrestlers that were both face and heel of all time. And it was interesting. I was thinking, there was a number of guys I could put on this list. And, I remember back in the old AWA days, Nick Bockwinkel, he was a great heel. Um, he also was face. Jerry the King Lawler was a great heel in the AWA as well as face. I mean, there was just a numerous amount of men in the world of professional wrestling that were both face and heel. But I got my top five list, and I don't know whether people will agree with it or not, but this is my list, and I'm going to start at number five. And a lot of people may not agree with this, but I thought Jeff Jarrett was both a great face and a great heel. I love Jeff Jarrett in TNA. Um, him and in his older days with the WCW, the slap nuts gimmick, the guitar. I think Jeff Jarrett was very entertaining to watch, and then he moved on and founded TNA and became the NWA champion for a while. He was a champion in TNA for quite some time, and but something, whether he was face or whether he was heel, he was very most entertaining, and I really enjoyed watching him. So he was my number five pick. My number four pick, and this is interesting too because um, when he was with Marty Jannetty in the early days as the Rockers, Shawn Michaels was probably the most popular face of a tag team member uh, in professional wrestling. And when he moved on and separated from Marty Jannetty, and he had his heel going, Shawn Michaels was without a doubt a superior wrestler within the ranks of the WWF. And we all remember the screw job in Montreal with Bret Hart, and everybody hated Shawn Michaels for doing that, but that was the plan of Vince McMahon because Bret Hart was leaving anyway. So he decided, well, we're going to make changes and we're going to do it. But Shawn Michaels, when he came out with Sherry Martel, I mean, he was just fun to watch. He was entertaining in the ring, whether he was a face or whether he was a heel. And then again, he moved on and he formed DX. That was a great faction. Um, and I'll be honest with you, I'm surprised I only got him number 4 on my list. But I had a few other guys ahead of him that I thought, in my mind, were you know were better for me. But Shawn Michaels definitely number 4 on my face heel favorite list. Number 3. This was tough, but Triple H. And it's funny because I hated Triple H when he first came up. I hated him as a heel. I was like, maybe I was just upset for the simple fact that Triple H always seemed to have the world heavyweight title. Um, Once he got that title, it just seemed like he always carried the belt for a very, very long time, and it was very hard pressed for somebody else to ever get it. And so I really did dislike Triple H an awful lot. But as he got older within the WWF, WWE, and then he finally turned face, and I loved it. I mean, it was something that we never saw at Triple H, and I thought he did a really good face job within the WWE. And then, of course, joining DX along with Shawn Michaels. And then when Shawn Michaels had to leave, Triple H controlling DX, running DX, bringing Billy Gunn and the Road Dogg in. We had China there, X Pac, and whatnot. Um, yeah, Triple H to me was number 3 on the list, and you can't take nothing away from the guy. You can hate him today for what he's doing in the corporate within the WWE, what he did to Daniel Bryan. I mean, I dislike him for that as well. I dislike him for the fact that he's a Randy Orton fan. But anyway, Triple H was my number 3 on the list. Number 2 on the list, Hulk Hogan. You can't take away from what he did when he was a face in the early days of the WWE after winning the title from the Iron Sheik in '83. And then just Hulkamania running wild. He was just like on top of the world for so many years. And when he finally left the WWE and then he surfaced in WCW and he turned heel, um, his heel gimmick was just as important in the world of professional wrestling as was his babyface in WWF days because Hulk Hogan really just took the wrestling world by storm. No one ever expected Hulk Hogan to come back to wrestling and become a heel. And that heel gimmick of Hollywood Hogan was one of the best heel gimmicks there ever was. And I don't think if Hogan went to the WCW, if he did not do that and join the NWO faction would not be as big as it was way back then. So that was totally awesome. All right. My favorite wrestler of all time, being face and being heel. Rest in peace, Randy Savage. I think Randy Savage, whether he was a face or whether he was a heel, he just had the personality. He was charismatic, along with Miss Elizabeth. Um, he was just fun to watch. He was one of the better wrestlers in the ring. You always loved him going to the top of the ring ropes, coming down with the flying elbow. Um, and you just loved it when he talked. I mean, oh yeah. I loved Randy Savage, and my heart dropped the day he passed away in the wrestling world. But to me, the favorite, both face and heel, like I said, he had the personality um, like no other. And today he is missed in all the world of professional wrestling. So I want to thank Andre Corbeil and Big Ray for their Can-Am connection, their YouTube video, because this inspired me to make this video. And I like to see what everybody else's thoughts are of their famous, their favorite famous face heel wrestlers of all time, because not everybody can do it. Um, some people can turn heel and the gimmick just doesn't work. But for these five guys, I thought that they were, immensely popular either way. So this is the Iceman on this Sunday evening. Peace out, everybody. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. Take care.